Hello, this is First Fire Non-Assault Move. Welcome back to the 11th video in the War in the East series. Let's start right off and get a situation report for our army groups. We'll start with the Finns. The Finns are still remaining in place, essentially up against a Soviet defensive line that we're very unlikely going to budge very much. But the plan is to keep the pressure on in and around Leningrad with the Finns and continue to advance up into the Finnish no attack line. We'll come abreast that and more than likely remain in place until the Soviets start to attack us. As similar to last week, we will attack across the length of Army Group North's front, seeking to find advantages here and there as we come across them. Mostly it's going to be from Pskov south, where we've done some decent damage pushing them back. They still are holding strong right now. We've mauled them over the course of 2 weeks, and I think we're on the cusp of a little breakout here, or at least to fragment their lines such that they will have to rush in reinforcements. Otherwise, there'll be no one left in front of Army Group North's front. And we still have our Seoul Panzer Corps attached to Army Group North. We'll see what we can do there with them. And in this sector, which is kind of the boundary between Army Group North and Army Group Center, we'll just take the ground that they have conceded to us. And we'll talk a little bit, before I go any further, let's look at what our aerial recon has shown us. There's no change here around Leningrad. They're just piling up. It's probably a staging area where the rail lines are coming in and they're assembling here. And more than likely filtering down the rail lines to eventually reinforce this part of the front and maybe bulk up this small sector, which I think they have already done. There are only 3 divisions now. There's 1, 2 that we've been fighting. We routed that one, and yeah, they're pushing in some reinforcements. Not unexpected, but that's good. They're taking them away. Those 3 divisions are not in front of more critical areas for us. Coming down to Army Group Center. Apologies. Coming down to Army Group Center. They vacated Vitebsk for the most part. So they've vacated Vitebsk for the most part. Definitely going to take Vitebsk this turn, and we'll move north and east and come abreast of the Soviet defensive line. This really startled the Soviets. They have retreated en masse, really not attacking any of our forward panzer divisions, but they quickly and almost effortlessly have assumed another wall of divisions in front of Moscow that will have to once again break through, but not going to rush that this week. For this week of the war, I doubt we'll attack any of this part of the sector in Army Group Center's area of operations. We want to definitely take advantage of destroying these divisions here the Soviets have that they've left behind around Smolensk, so that they just don't retreat back and, add to the wall of Soviet divisions forming their defense. And we'll reconstitute and kind of shake out a little bit our infantry corps, because they've gotten entangled in the press and rush to make this breakout since we started really at Mogilev. And off camera I shuttled up our Air Force so that our Luftwaffe so it's closer, and the southern part of Army Group Center's front is really just holding the line with the least amount of forces we can spare, and they really can't do much. And the Soviets are kind of doing the same. So they haven't, their high command haven't come up with a solid plan to start their counterattacks, which might, begin to form later in this year as winter kind of sets in. So we might see with recon them starting to build up along these weakened or weaker flanks of ours. So not yet, not happening yet. No real change in the Pripyat. Still trying to clear out Soviet-controlled hexes. We ran across this one fortified border region formation, a brigade size that's just holding in place along the railroad. Surprised to see them. We tried to do a hasty attack, and they held in place, so they have great terrain to camouflage and hold out against our 267th Infantry Division, but we'll do a deliberate. We got to clear them out and fill in this gap, which is super slow going through the swamp. And the Italians, they're going to pitch in and help hold this very, right now, quiet sector of the front. Moving down south, Kiev, still attack on all fronts around Kiev and all places. They pushed back. What did they do last turn? They attacked here. And then they moved forward, which we're going to snip off at least 6 divisions this turn. We're going to take advantage of them attacking into our lines, which really didn't get them anything. I don't know why the army commanders in this sector for the Soviets decided to do that, because it's only going to spell their doom and take away from holding Kiev, because I can't believe that we did aerial recon. I imagine when we move up, there's going to be more. We're going to find more Soviets in and around Kiev. They may be surrendering it because I think they peeled away troops to. We'll talk about Cherkasy first. They are not conceding the Cherkasy bridgehead. It's been a couple weeks now where we've been fighting very hard in and around Cherkasy, and they pushed back a Hungarian brigade with a very strong mechanized division. So we're gonna have to pull back, make sure we don't lose Cherkasy, and get him away from threatening our. I think it's contested. I don't know if we're getting supply if it's grayed out like that. Well, we'll make sure that that doesn't happen, and we'll bring forward some troops. And they're in a. Are they in? No, they're in a clear hex. They're not in this rough terrain, because that would make a already very potent defender defend even better, and it may take a little bit to get him out of there. But yeah, we'll continue to reinforce and push back Cherkasy in the Cherkasy bridgehead. And on that note, let's move down and see the bad news. Again, fuel. We're red on fuel completely, and probably ammunition as well, as supplies are not reaching us over a month now. With that in mind, I am shifting our operational and strategic goals for 1941. We are not going to try to take Stalino and Rostov. The fuel will just not allow it. By the time the railhead reaches us and supplies start to really accumulate for us, it's going to be too late in the year to really accomplish much. So by moving, what I plan to do is to move at least 2 Panzer Corps up into the Cherkasy bridgehead, where they'll be closer to the approaching railhead for us and be closer to supply lines. We're just stretched so far, and we're just going to fill in the gaps with our Axis miners and 11th Army down here to more than likely just hold the Dnieper bend for 1941, which is discouraging. I thought it would be a much grander advance and marked difference between the three fronts, with Army Group South outperforming them all, but it didn't turn out that way. So me, as the lead of the German High Command, maybe made a mistake by emphasizing Army Group South as our main line of effort. But overall, I don't feel too bad about our progress at only the third week of August. I was reading again some Army Group South by the Werner Haupt book, and they only, well, they sealed, do I recognize any of the towns that were talked about in the book? Probably not. Sumi. I just went off on a tangent here. Basically, they yeah, all right. I'll find them off camera. I just wanted to reference some towns that might be on the map that were talked about in the book. But the Great Kiev Pocket was sealed in September, and we're about 3 or 4 weeks away from that. And they really, it was, I think, the largest encirclement in the war, and it was utterly devastating to the Soviets. But what it did is it took pretty much the bulk of both Army Group Center and Army Group South from advancing further east while they conducted that grand encirclement and then fending off attacks to relieve the Soviets trapped in the pocket, and then destroying the Soviets within the pocket. So that took precious time and resources away from the Axis' advance east, which eventually, as the Germans reconstituted and got back into their attack positions to continue the attack east, it was getting late in the year, and they just almost made it to Moscow. So we are, after that long-winded talk about that, we are not going to be anywhere close in duplicating that as far as causing destruction on the Soviet armies. However, we're in a good place territorially. I think Army Group Center is farther east historically. I think because the Germans were conducting that, developing that grand encirclement around Kiev, the progress in and around Smolensk was put on hold. So the emphasis here is we're getting a little further forward and towards Moscow, which is really, oh my God, that's tantalizing. But they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink in front of us. So we can see that the Soviets have concentrated the bulk of their forces in front of Army Group Center, and recognizing that this was becoming a problem for them, have railed in a bunch of forces to really solidify their frontier. So once where there is a broken, gaping line of theirs, there is now a contiguous line of Soviet divisions. So that in mind, again, more than likely, strategically, we'll look to just hold the west side of the Dnieper and then pull out our panzer divisions to refit and reposition them, at least maybe half of the Panzer Corps in and around Cherkasy. They'll still be an Army Group South effort, but the Axis' advance will change quite dramatically, much farther north, where we already have a more established bridgehead for our panzers to cross into. And that's about it. With that, I'm going to start doing the moves off camera, and I'll get back to you. Alright, we're back. Moves are complete. Let's take a look at Army Group North, Center, and South. The Finns couldn't attack past this line. We did make one attack where there was 2 Soviet divisions north of the line, and we had a good result. Routed a couple of their divisions. Did some attacks here as well, up this northern part of Army Group North. Just going to be a back and forth, rinse and repeat, I think, as they continue to reinforce this little area. So we may, call a halt to attacks to cut down on casualties. We took Pskov, and we attacked up and down Army Group North's front. Look at all these attacks. And I think we have thoroughly disrupted their front. Totally broke out here. Caused some more routes. Disrupted their lines, and we are through their lines. There's a few holdouts here. We've gotten past and surrounded almost. Yeah, we do have 2 divisions surrounded there. These divisions will be able to pull back, but yeah, we're making progress here. And infantry are doing an incredible job. Hard fighting again. Very hard fighting. Just holding the line in this sector as we come down into Army Group Center's area of operations. We took Vitebsk. Did we take that last turn? Yeah. Let's see. No, we took it this turn. I think there was just one security regiment. Yeah, that's what it was. So just holding the line here. So what we decided to do, we definitely wanted to eliminate up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Soviet divisions will be eliminated next turn. The Soviets really pulled back from the salient we're creating to form a line in front of us, and we only had a few scattered panzer divisions right around here, and there was no point attacking into this with the infantry back here still and not being able to support. So rather than attacking into their strength, we diverted our axis of attack and found a weak spot, and again have broken out. And I would like to relieve some of the strain that might start to happen as these infantry divisions here are getting strung out. So it's an attempt to shorten our line and maybe, just maybe, start a little mini encirclement here. Look at how the attacks panned out. Just multiple attacks. The infantry once again prying open the front, and then our panzer divisions, which were lower on fuel this week than the prior couple of weeks for Army Group Center, didn't have as much combat power to apply, but we still managed to get a breakout here. Once we eliminate this little pocket, that'll free up a number of our infantry divisions, and we'll start shortening our lines. If we extend it all up here, it was really going to make us thin. So shorten the lines here, penetrate here, maybe have Bryansk as a target, and shorten the lines along this bulge here with our divisions making their way up through the swamp. Coming down here, Kiev. Attacked north of Kiev, continuing to apply pressure to the north and south of Kiev. Didn't make any direct attacks into Kiev. They have 3 fresh divisions holding Kiev. No point whatsoever to attack directly there. We will either get across north, or once we break out of the Cherkasy bridgehead finally, they'll definitely concede Kiev to us. We were able to almost surround another small pocket of Soviet divisions. Every little bit counts, but I think they'll be able to get away. And I think they'll probably be able to lodge themselves up into this rough terrain, but that's all right. It's going to be hard for them to get out through this area. A lot of movement points to cross the river, and we have zone of control now in Kiev. So if we bust out, we might be able to get some divisions here. Probably 10 to 12. pushed back the Soviets again. Not as many attacks. They're showing the wear and tear our own infantry is, so limited attacks, but widening still, gaining a couple hexes, a couple 10, 20 miles here to further increase the breadth and depth of this bridgehead. And this very strong mechanized division was threatening Cherkasy, so we reinforced it to make sure nothing bad happens here, because that would be bad. You might see a couple panzer divisions and motorized divisions here. Well, what we did is we took about 2.5 Panzer Corps and started to move them out to commit them to the Cherkasy bridgehead. There was no point to have panzer divisions with like 5%, 7% fuel try to attack through this. Absolutely no point. So 11th Army and our Axis Minor allies are going to hold this front, and it doesn't look like the Soviets can really do any operational damage or make any strategic gains along this front. Maybe cause us to withdraw here and there, but I don't have too much concern at the very south of Army Group South's front. Disappointed that we couldn't make our goals, not by a long shot. We were talking Rostov and Stalino, but it all just came down to fuel and supply. So whether, I probably should have cut my losses as far as territorial gains a little earlier, because the writing was on the wall. There's just no fuel is reaching our tanks, so they probably sat here a little longer than they should have. I should have changed course earlier, but that's all right. I think the pressure here really forces Soviets to commit forces here that are not going to trouble us elsewhere. So as we move more north, closer to our encroaching railhead, hopefully we'll get more fuel. Let's look at the losses. Info screens show losses. Whew, yeah, 23,000 men this turn. Shows the extent of our attacks across all the army groups. Yeah, 102 tanks. That's adding up. One consolation, the bulk of them are coming from almost obsolete tanks at this point, even though it's 1941, summer of 1941. I mean, sadly, these were like almost main battle tanks for us. But the Panzer IIIBs and 3Cs are just, it's almost embarrassing to have that kind of tank in the front conducting, main battle operations. They should be used as security or in recon forces. But we're attacking with them, and they're taking a toll. Not high losses, but they're adding up. These are our main battle tanks at this point of the war. Our Panzer IIIs and our 4Cs, 4 variants. The Panzer IV-F had the longer 75, which did a lot better job taking out Soviet armor, especially probably the only tank. I won't say the only tank, but the 75 mounted on this Panzer IV-F more than capable of taking out T-34s when they started to appear. And the Germans are fighting them with Panzer I-Bs and Panzer II-Cs and Panzer 35Ts, which I believe were Czechoslovakian chassis. Yeah, all right. So that's that. Oh, Stug's one of my favorite tanks. The Stugs in all their variants. The durable, dependable Stugs. I think one of the one of the more famous German tank aces, made a name for himself in a Stug. I forget his name. Anyway, so those are our losses. Soviets, yeah, 109,000. Not too bad. Their tank losses continue to soar. 481, but they're just churning out so much armor with those factories. I don't want to say drop in a bucket, but you know that's significant. Almost 10,000 tanks they've lost, and it's just August right now. Pretty good. So those are the losses. I'm going to step aside real quick and do one more pass over. I already did, but do another, and I'll be right back. Alright, I didn't find anyone that I had forgotten, and I made sure I had moved all my railroad repair engineers that I controlled. Don't see any airfields. Oh, I meant to say, if you remember that Soviet formation, that unidentified Soviet formation that was down here, well, when I moved our security division next to it, it disappeared. So it was a false contact. I don't know what that was all about. So, great relief there. Our railroad wasn't cut. At least I don't think so. Yeah, alright. We have a contiguous line back. Good. All the way up here and all the way up here. It'll be up here next turn. That's great. It's making our way here. It'll be up to there. It's so depressing right here, though. This is as far as we're getting. Slowly but surely. Maybe it'll be about here next, the end of next turn. So yeah. Looking at a timeline, what do we got? We have second week of August, so we still have one more week of August. Third week of August, I mean. Still have 1 week of August. Gives us September and October. 2 full months. So about 9 weeks, I think, where we can not be affected by the weather. It's going to be mud season. I think in the books they're already talking about how the rains, even in August and September, cause those rivers of mud. But we still have some time before that dreaded winter sets in. But I want to have us in position where we will not find ourselves vulnerable when winter comes. So let's click the end turn button, which I'm always nervous about. So where are we expecting the Soviets to attack this turn? Probably not here. They're in no condition whatsoever to attack on this front. There's a chance they could bring in the second echelon of divisions behind this front and maybe attack who we have here, the 88th. They retreated pretty far. They're like, hey, where'd the Germans go? We're ready to defend, but we didn't go this way. And, get stuck in amongst all this. We used some freedom of maneuver and changed our axis of attack. So I imagine they're all going to start coming back and forming a line like this. And that's all right. Because we probably will change our axis of attack again and go east and north and try to get a little encirclement around here. We'll see how that may play out. It's a little dance we're doing as the our Schwerpunkt changes week to week and try to capitalize on the weak spots in the Soviets' lines and disrupt, fragment as much as we can and get these smaller, like these mini encirclements, but we've had a few and they're not insignificant, and every little bit destroyed is more divisions that are not in front of us. All right. Let's do it. I'm going to press the button. So, oh yeah, continue my train of thought. Maybe they'll start attacking along here, but they don't have the build-up. Their SOP, I think, or doctrine, is to have at least 3 stacks, 3 hexes with 3 divisions in them, and to give those the best odds they possibly can get. So maybe they could be able to do it here, maybe up here in 1 or 2 places. Coming down here, they could probably push back. I don't know why they would waste attacking here. They'll probably retreat. They've been pretty stubborn holding on to the rough ground to the west of the Dnieper. So they'll probably beat up on some Axis miners again. I think their attempt to sneak and take Cherkasy has been foiled. Yeah, maybe they'll put some pressure on us here. But I didn't pull every Panzer Corps out of this sector just because of the amount of Soviets that are starting to build up. I think they gave up on attacking our Axis miners, seeing no point or profit, and we cut the line, and we did overrun some airfields even. So it's just a scattering of divisions that have now made their way into the Crimea. And yeah, using the rail line. So these forces, I'm anticipating, will just continue to retreat and go over the Dnieper. So overall, I'm not predicting too many attacks from the Soviets. Let's get on it. Always nervous. Going through their logistics. There were a whole lot of interdictions last turn. I wonder it'll be the same quantity. Recon. Look like they are continuing to pull back. I mean, just look at that atrocious terrain to fight in. Up there, right there in front of Velikai Luki. Luring us into that morass of swamp, the rivers, deep forests. What? Again, not all of the forces of the Soviets are rendered during their turn, so did they really give up Gommel? Oh, wow, they really got away from... They really got out of... again, maybe not rendered, but it looks like those 6 to 9 divisions we had almost surrounded in front of Kiev got away. Look at that. The bulk of them got away, I think. Trying to get away there. Doggone it. How are they sneaking through there? I wonder if they're just going to concentrate by Vyazma and not even move up adjacent to us. Huh. Hey, we held. Did they attack Axis Miner? Cavalry Division. Huh. They tried it with just 3. Yeah. I saw this coming. It's a little unfair. We can't attack south, but they can attack north. It had that build up there. They can't possibly have given up Kiev. That would... No way. Wow. Where did those come from? They seem stronger in front of us than I anticipated. Cherkasy. Yeah, there's places along the front where they can get 2 to 3 hexes worth of 2 to 3 divisions in each of those hexes and attack us in these this isolated attacks. Still annoying. Where is he going? Oh no. Oh, did not expect that. I think that mechanized division got in amongst some of our headquarters. I did not see that. I did not predict that to happen. Huh. Wow. I didn't expect them to do that. A little more caution next time. Well, not the most eventful Soviet turn, but they attacked us in a couple places. Let's see what our losses are. 17,000. Just with those few attacks. Wow. Again, losses in guns are mounting. I don't know. That was just annoying. I don't know. It annoying me more than the last turn. What they did. All right. So, kind of holding pattern with the last 3 turns, what the Soviets do. Expect them where they can assemble like 6 to 9, even 12 divisions, stack them up and attack single divisions of ours. Is it really causing any concern? I don't think so right now. It's just annoying. I don't like being attacked at all, ever. How dare they? But so I think it's just a pretty standard turn, our turn and theirs. No major breakthroughs. Just continuing with some success in Army Group Center. Army Group South changes its axis of attack. Well, let's look real quick. Where did that stupid mechanized division go? Oh, thanks to heavens, I had 9th Panzer there. Otherwise, it probably would have advanced and taken Kirovograd. Kirovgrad. How do I say that? Yeah, Kirovograd. Oh man, that would have been incredibly annoying. What do you think they're doing? Being audacious, I guess. Must have a very bold divisional commander. All right, well, we won't beat that dead horse. We'll have to take care of them. Yeah, building up. Still have forces to contest us here. No, I didn't expect them to concede Kiev. They just weren't rendered during their turn. And man, they were able to have that amount of movement factors to get entirely out from this little squeeze we were putting on them. That's annoying. Yeah, what an annoying turn. And they almost no, they don't completely get out. Almost, but they get their control back, so maybe a little harder to eliminate these. Yeah, they did come back. They moved east to. Oh wow. Yeah. Look at that. They pulled back quite a bit because they felt the spidey senses of 3 Panzer Corps breaking out to the north of them. So, yeah. They retreated. That's all right, though. That's all right. That's going to shorten our lines. I like it. And they're still on their heels. And... We'll have to do some recon. I bet there's a whole bunch of Soviets out here. All right, well, we'll see that on the next turn. I hope you enjoyed. The war continues. Losses are mounting, definitely on our side, as we've continuously attacked for month and 3, almost 1, 2, about 2 months now of almost constant fighting. Well, the infantry really, almost 3 to 4 weeks, they were just marching. They didn't fight very much across all of the fronts. So they are fighting now as we've made contact over the past 2 or 3 weeks. So losses have mounted. All right, so yeah, next video will be great. I hope you enjoyed. This is First Fire Non-Assault Move out.